It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
You know what I thought one of the most amazing things yesterday, and I don't want this to be lost on the what happened yesterday. The doctor that came out, Dr. Ira Savetsky, a plastic surgeon in New York City, who he said it. Then he also went on Fox News. Listen to what he had to say. He's basically apologizing for failing to speak up against mutilating children, and the sterilization of children.
Yeah,
and he was afraid to do so, and he said, "I couldn't become a doctor if I spoke up against this."
Right. Yeah.
Man, is that scary? Here it is. Here's part of what he had to say on Fox and Friends yesterday.
And as a father to 3 young children, and as a physician who took an oath to do no harm, I failed to speak up. And, I just want to thank President Trump for having more clarity on this. And our society finally came out strongly against this. So, like you mentioned, training, you're at the #1 plastic surgery program. You're just grateful to be there. Mm-hmm. There's no room to speak up.
Right.
You're a soldier.
Because if you left, you wouldn't get your degree. You wouldn't become a doctor.
Yeah, you work so hard to get there. You don't want to make waves.
What?
It's right there with what we talked about, was it yesterday or the day before, about the college students. You don't want to make waves. You're not going to speak out against the liberal. You don't agree with the liberal agenda across the board, but you're not going to speak out because you don't want to make waves. And that pressure is there, but also then, and it has to be supported when you talk about the follow-through by enough powerful people in the medical community. And we saw recently the American Medical Association came out and said, we can't do this anymore. And you and I had just said, like the day before, I said the medical community has a decision to make here. Because there is zero argument to be made for mutilating children, doing irreversible harm to children. You absolutely cannot make the case for doing that ever. There is no justification. You should be in prison if you're part of this. And the medical community has a decision to make. If it's adults making their decision, then adults make their own decisions. When it comes to children, the answer is no, and we need very clear laws. Nothing irreversible for children. Nothing.
I saw 2 Boston hospitals, a group of 2 hospitals in Boston that said, nope, not going to do it anymore. If there's ever a warning about what happens if Democrats get in charge again, think about it. Think about how. Yeah. Remember the doctor in Dallas.
Yeah.
Make sure I have this story right. That doctor in Dallas that reported that the hospital wasn't supposed to be doing it, and they did it, and then the Biden administration came after him. For what they said was violating the HIPAA law.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And he was reporting that they were mutilating children. They weren't supposed to do it by law.
Right.
And so he reported them, and they went after him.
Yep.
You and I went through, when you look at it, we believe it really peaked in the summer of 2020 when the riots were going on. And the big lie that was out there that police departments are systemically racist to hunt down and kill blacks. Mm-hmm. And we said that's ridiculous. because that was the whole thing, that the whole system, remember, in the systemic and institutional racism, and as we said back then, it exists, but it exists in the Democratic Party through identity politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
They promote it.
Yep.
It's right out there. They don't hide it. They promote it. And the same thing with the radical transgender movement. It got to the point of insanity. And I'll tell you this, say that what you will about conservative talk radio. But the only place that really stood strong for the truth was the conservative media and the majority of conservative talk show hosts out there. Not that I agree with everybody who says they're a conservative and a talk show host, that I agree with them, because a lot of conservatism, conservative narrative has become more populist and not really conservative.
Right.
But the fact is, it was conservative talk radio that always stayed strong on both those issues.
Yep.
And pointed out the BS. And I didn't personally feel it, because you don't care and I don't care. I mean, we're going to do what we're going to do. Somebody goes in and says, don't say that. I'm like, you're not going to tell me what to say.
Right. Right.
It's
wrong is wrong.
Yeah. And it's people that believe that, and we don't get it as much anymore. And I think probably what has helped that is the expansion of podcasting and everything else. And people can sort of figure out whether you're genuine or not, in your opinion.
Yeah.
And they can look at your history is available, and your opinions that you've taken back in the past are available. And that's what's hurting Democrats, like Schumer, who got pounded on the last couple of weeks, we're on voter ID. ID is necessary. We must have ID. The only reason you don't want ID is because you want fraud. And now he has the 180-degree different opinion. People know.
No, Pritzker on calling Trump a Nazi.
Yeah, all that stuff where they're like, we never did that. When did that happen? Call Trump a Nazi? Racist? We don't know where that's coming from. People, the internet exists.
Yep.
And, there was always, we used to, probably up until, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago, it probably ended with that one call. The guy who said, you guys get your talking points. And it's like, what, do you think that every morning, like at 9:30 in the morning, when Eric and I, wake up, or when I wake up, I don't know when Eric wakes up, but when I wake up, that there's talking points waiting for me for tonight's show?
No.
That I must do? And he went, yes.
It's garbage. They come across at 10:30.
Exactly. Well, you're on Eastern time.
Yeah.
Exactly. But no, it isn't the way, and it's really amazing because people just can't believe. I still am sort of in awe that a major company says, "Hey, McNamara, you and Harley, go on the radio and say what you think."
Yeah. Right.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you, nuts?
Right. Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to? But that's the way that it works.
Yeah.
And only very few. One time, I had one general manager who wasn't happy with the topic that I took and the slant that I took. And we had it out in his office. Big time.
Yeah.
Had it out. And because I just said, it's like, you hired me to do this. And there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. You just personally don't like it.
Right. You disagree with what I'm saying. That doesn't, am I doing my job is the question.
And I did tell him, I said, if you fire me, but it's not with cause.
Right.
So understand, I will collect on the contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, if you want to take this there, go ahead, do it. And only once, and it's decades ago that happened.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's, hey, go on the air and say what you think. Right. And what really got me was early on in my career when I really didn't want to be a talk radio host. It's not what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was still getting offers, and people are like, we want you here. Really?
Yeah, right.
Why?
Are you sure? Are you drunk?
It's like, I'm turning around. Is there somebody behind me who you're talking to?
Right.
Who you want to do this radio show?
Are you guys setting me up?
And so it's really unbelievable when you think about it. from a personal standpoint, because we all look, I think we can all, doesn't matter that I'm 70, part of me is still 18 in your brain.
Oh, I'm not, according to my wife, ever going to fully mature.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you look at it and you say, all of a sudden, I can't, you sit back still today and I'll go, I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm doing this.
I know.
I can't believe that somebody hired me to do this. And they just sit there and go, hey, just go and say go say what you want.
Yeah, right.
And just don't lose us our FCC license.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's another thing. When we talk, we were talking about the whole Tallarico thing and
and Colbert.
Colbert and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing that it was just assumed when I first got into this business that you knew what the rules were.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, except for, do we do the payola training anymore? We've done that lately, the plugola, payola.
I don't do it unless I get paid, man. So.
And that's where if we got on and we're
I
doing
can be encouraged to do it.
Right. we're plugging something or we're paying to play a music record.
If you personally benefit without it being an actual advertisement that is in place legally, and you're trying to get something for yourself, or back in the day, playing music, being paid to play music,
right?
I got to be honest with you, I was a fan of Madonna's. I played it because I liked the music.
Oh my God! FBI.
I did get paid to play it.
FBI,
but it was from the radio station.
FBI, examine Eric's
exactly,
past.
Not the record label.
But except
you
for that,
couldn't pay me enough.
Except for companies really, focusing on that every year or two, you get that, understand the plugola and payola, laws here.
Right.
And except for that, nobody ever sat me down and said, look, these are the rules on defamation.
Right.
Nobody ever said that.
Right.
It's really amazing. But everybody knew it. If you were in the business, it's like you knew that.
Yeah. Right.
You knew what you could do and what you couldn't do, which is, the whole thing with Stern, with the FCC rules and innuendo. I'll go this far,
right,
but I'm actually not saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Seinfeld was sort of based on that. We're not going to actually say it, but we'll imply it.
Right.
And having those rules and getting around the rules is what the public even loved.
Well, it was how creative can you be to get around the rules, right?
Yeah.
And that was the funny. That was driving around the blocks and pulling the driveway humor that worked on so many levels because it just allowed them to be so creative.
And that's why when it comes to a lot of this, like when it came to, Colbert and what he did, that's why everybody in broadcasting knew immediately. And this wasn't a discussion because I do believe I am uncomfortable now that there's so much media out there with the government being able to dictate anything to the media. I don't like it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Defamation, yeah.
Well, sure.
But that's not the argument. The argument is, has this been a long-standing law, and do we all know it if we're in broadcasting? And yes, we do. And it was amazing the number of Democrats confusing the equal time law with the fairness doctrine.
Right.
Well, the fairness doctrine is gone, and you conservatives got rid of it. That's not what the fairness doctrine was. Completely different ballgame. They didn't even understand the difference between, the two. But when you look at the past history, and the funny thing is, Brendan Caro said, I woke up and all of a sudden we're involved in something that we're not involved with. And as we said, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It was CBS that went to Colbert and said, look, you got to have equal time. The election starts tomorrow in Texas. You've got Tallarico on. We've got to find some way to offer Jasmine Crockett. But it works that if they didn't offer Jasmine Crockett, she would go to them and say, hey, I want equal time. If then they don't give it to her, then the FCC gets involved.
Right. Right. Yep.
And so he had to shut up real quick. We knew he was going to get burned on this.
There was no way he
burned on it quickly.
Yeah,
and he did.
It was a very clear case. Yeah, very clear.
But yeah, still amazed. But that plastic surgeon, just wow.
Well,
wow. How many doctors were afraid to say anything because they would say, I can't go anywhere because the wokeness of insane liberalism is in every hospital in this country. And if I do it here, I'll be blackballed. I'd like to hear from doctors on that one.
You said from the beginning, what will change this is the lawsuits.
Yes.
Civil litigation is going to change this, and that lawsuit that came down seemed to be have a domino effect. It's not the biggest effect, but how many we heard from American Medical Association and another medical group, this doctor talking about what he went through, the hospitals, the two hospitals you mentioned, because again the litigation then through those cases. This is the great thing about this litigation going through those cases. You find out then again, can you deter? It's easy for us to look and say you're doing irreversible damage. But when that legally starts to happen, you get the attention of all these people that are in control of this agenda, and it's like, you're not going to win this. Wrong is wrong, and you're seeing this play out now, and I'm hoping and praying this is the beginning of the end and that the end happens quickly, because we cannot allow this to happen any further to children. This has to end.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Surviving and thriving as an owner-operator has just as much to do with managing costs as it does with generating revenue. Understanding basic principles of operating costs can save you thousands of dollars a year. Costs are not the same each month. If 9,600 miles are driven one month and 10,000 miles the next, two different sets of costs apply for each month. For example, if your tractor payment is $1,850 per month and you drive 9,600 miles in the month, your tractor payment is costing you 19.3 cents per mile. Drive 10,000 miles, though, and that same payment will cost you 18.5 cents per mile. This is one of your major fixed costs while paying off a truck loan. The difference in this example is only a fraction of a cent, which may seem like small change, but it ultimately amounts to $960 more annually on the bottom line. Because though fixed costs do not go down over time, you can reduce your cost per mile with more paid miles. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Wow. Jasmine Crockett communicating that the Democratic Party is racist.
Oh.
We'll have that coming up following the bottom of the hour. Also, did you hear in Portland, you had the very far left city council scrambling for their safety as anti-ICE agitators shut down the Portland City Council meeting. Law enforcement called it a mini-insurrection. Why? They want, apparently where ICE is located, the building that they're located in, they're demanding the city revoke their building permit. I don't believe they can do that, but
yeah,
it would have to be for cause, and there's no cause just because you're part of the federal government.
Right.
You'd lose that lawsuit, but
yeah.
This is how insane it is. We'll get to that. Plus, my favorite story, based on the average of the polling in California, if the election for governor were held today, a Republican would win. Wow. Details coming up.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. So you're saying, what are you talking about if the election were held today? If for governor, that
What are you up to, McNamara?
that a Republican would win, based upon current polling averages at Real Clear Politics.
All right.
If the California gubernatorial primary were to be held today, the results, this is from National Review, the results would be the funniest thing possible in American politics. A general election featuring in California 2 Republicans shutting out the Democrats. Under the California jungle primary system, all the candidates from both parties are thrown into a single primary, and the top 2 finishers advance to the general election. So just based on the polling averages as they stand today, and they've been like this for the past few months, the general election would be between Republican Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. The only 2 Republicans in the race, even though the total Republican vote in these polls is 31%. And that's because in the current polling right now, the averaging, and it's been this way for a while.
Yeah.
Steve Hilton has 15.5%. Chad Bianco, 15.5%. Eric Swalwell, 12.5%. Katie Porter, 10.5%. And then the rest all underneath 10%. So the first 2, even though it's only 15%, a total of 31% of the vote, 15.5% each, the primary would be, the general election would be 2 Republicans running against each other in California. Oh, please, I don't ask for much.
Make it happen.
I really don't ask for much. I can't get a Super Bowl. I can't get a Stanley Cup. My teams can't do that. I might not break 80 again in golf ever again. We'll see. Maybe I can. I haven't played a lot, but maybe I can. But I'm not really optimistic. Just give me this. Just give me this in California. Please give me this.
My golf score is a great, great bowling score. It's over 300, actually. It might be in the thousands. But look, you're right. We don't ask for much. And I know what people are saying. Well, Arnold, was a Republican. Don't go in there. There's a bomb in there. Then he was sharing his Swiffer with the maid. But that's again, very liberal Republican.
What was that with the maid?
He was sharing his Swiffer with the maid. Would just say, I'm sorry about that. Don't go in there. There's a bomb in there. Maria, don't go in there. There's a bomb in there.
There's definitely something in that closet.
Yeah. But it's not, that, but I would love to see something like that happen. It's very interesting. It'd be great. I'd love it.
So, in other news, anti-ICE agitators physically disrupted a Portland City Council meeting on Wednesday, resulting in 4 arrests. City officials described the incident as a mini-insurrection in which protesters engaged in extreme acts of intimidation, engaged in rage, against counselors as they demanded the city revoke the building permit for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in South Portland. The disruption was organized on social media by the Antifa-affiliated group Revoke ICE Permit PDX. The meeting was shut down for 45 minutes while police officers removed demonstrators and apprehended unlawful subjects. city councilors, the majority of whom are progressive Democrats, were forced to flee the chambers to seek refuge and safety. Wow. Demonstrators barged into the council meeting at 6 p.m., shouting phrases such as revoke the permit and do your job, city council. Several minutes later, agitators breached the chambers and climbed over tables to physically confront council members sitting. Video footage shows. Tonight was horrible at the Portland City Council. Councilmember Loretta Smith wrote on Facebook, it was like a mini-insurrection. These protesters were not peaceful. A lady jumped over the testifying table and screamed in my face, I don't feel safe at my own city council meetings. So there you go.
Wow.
As we've told the left, and that's why we look at it and we say with Stephen A. Smith, and what he feels on identity politics and other things, it's like you actually probably should be running as a liberal Republican.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at it. But the president of Portland Police Association said the protesters' unlawful actions damage Portland's reputation. Really? Is that possible?
Really?
Is that real? And disrupt the democratic process. Whoa.
Oh.
And silence the very community voices. Public meetings are meant to elevate. Additionally, the president of the Portland Police Association slammed elected officials for their repeated history of appearing to encourage unlawful protest action. Well, then you're getting some of your own medicine, huh? Oh, and
what goes around,
And one of my favorite there were so many great headlines this week. Noah Rothman, National Review. The Democratic Party turns to Joy Reid for sober centrist politics. This is where she's going to be the MC or whatever of the alternative People's State of the Union.
Okay.
Democrats figured out the way they protested last year was so ridiculous that they didn't win any points on it. So they're just a bunch of Democrats aren't going to show up. And Joy Reid is going to lead the sober centrist Democrat Party.
Yeah, centrist. Yeah.
In their protest.
Yeah.
I just love that one.
That's funny.
All right. Here's Jasmine Crockett. Okay.
What do you got?
Here she is after the Colbert Tallarico debacle that happened. The big lie.
Yeah.
But here's Jasmine Crockett on Democrats and their attacks on her. Here we go.
Okay.
The thing that is not normal is for me to be attacked from the left. That is the new wild card in this scenario. But it's just interesting. And, I've been asked a couple of times, a couple of things about it. And, I look at this specifically as a civil rights lawyer, and I see when they're sending out ads and they're darkening my skin, and I'm just like, I know what this is.
Racism?
Racism.
Wow.
Well, Jasmine, we've been telling you this.
Wow.
Again, how many times do we have to say this? And by the way, the Republicans still fail on this big time.
Oh, yeah.
They should be pounding every single day on the racism of the Democratic Party through identity politics.
How was it that Jasmine Crockett got to it before they did?
Yeah. I mean, this is natural. The Democratic Party has institutionalized racism through identity politics. They judge people by groups and not individuals.
Right.
We know that.
Stephen A. Smith has said it, pretty much.
Yeah. They know it.
Yep.
They admit it.
Right.
We said it in 2020 when they said racism is institutionalized and systemic in all of society. We go, absolutely it is. And the leader of the group that's the leader of it is the same group that was in support of Jim Crow laws and slavery. It's the Democratic Party.
If you'd have told me a couple of years ago, Stephen A. Smith and Jasmine Crockett would point it out before the GOP did, I would have said,
Well, the GOP points it out, but they don't attack it.
No, this is the thing. They don't campaign on it the way, and, Stephen A. Smith was just, doing an interview, and he's gotten a lot of airplay on a certain all-night radio show over it. But maybe that's why I've heard it so much. But because it is important to play. But think about also Jasmine Crockett on the campaign trail. This has to be at every turn. And the GOP just can't seem to get a consistent, very clear message on this out there. Because this is what I would have said the other day in that meeting at the White House. And Susie Wiles, orders a bunch of steak and chicken and brings in, I don't know how many people, what they say, 75 to 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Everybody, here's what you do. Trump is going to be out there. Trump's going to do what Trump is going to do. You guys get out there and keep pointing out over and over again how bat-soup crazy and racist the left is and how racist the Democratic Party is. That's going to be your job. Focus on that every single day, nonstop. That would have been the message. Because if the idea is, well, you just have to let Trump be Trump, which is kind of where it came out. It's like, all right, fine. If that's the case, then you let that play out with the president and whatever he's going to do. You guys go out and point it out. In the 24 election cycle, remember, it was the GOP, it was Trump's campaign, would post an entire interview with Kamala Harris on their account because it was so bad. Post them in their own words every day, all day, and hit them every single day on these issues, and you will make more progress. I don't know what's going to happen in November, but if you have any chance of overcoming any issues on affordability as a party, then it has to be a unified approach to point out how bat-soup crazy the left is.
And when they bring up Nazism, because the whole Nazism is about racism and all that, you bring up the unbelievable, as they did for the Nazi and racism thing over the last couple of days, the administration.
Yeah, right.
But it shouldn't be just when you're attacked. You don't use it as a defense mechanism. You attack.
Yeah.
You talk about the identity politics that the Democratic Party admits is there. Democrats admit that they judge people by groups and not individuals.
Right.
That's why Stephen A. Smith, that's what he was hitting.
Yep.
He was hitting. He goes, no, people are more worried about their own things. The racism doesn't really, not that it doesn't exist, but it certainly isn't institutionalized at all in our society at all.
People are worried about their own problems.
Except it's organized and institutionalized and systemic inside the Democratic Party.
Yep.
They are the ones, and it should be pointed out, don't wait, Republicans. Don't be on the damn defensive all the time. Only when we're attacked do we do this. Attack. They're the racist. They admit they're the racist.
Don't wait for somebody to ask you a question about it. Be out there every day with statements. It couldn't be easier in today's world.
No.
You don't even have to spend a lot of money doing it.
Democrats have succeeded in telling the same lie over and over again till it sticks.
Right.
Tell the truth over and over again. That will also stick.
Yep.
And stick longer and stronger.
Yep.
This is just basic politics 101.
Right. It's not that hard. All you have to do is do it. One foot in front of the other.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I love this story. The University of Texas Systems Board of Regents yesterday approved a rule requiring universities to allow students to graduate without studying unnecessarily controversial subjects. The rule, approved unanimously, also states faculty must include topics they plan to teach and follow that plan throughout the course. When courses include controversial subject matter, instructors are directed to take a broad and balanced approach. The policy does not define what constitutes controversial or broad and balanced approach.
Right.
Well, controversial to whom? Democrats find proven biology as controversial.
Exactly. They'll threaten you if you bring up biology. They threaten you.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.